Karl was being interviewed by John King on CNN, and he told a curious story about how Dick Cheney was selected as VP and how he objected. Let's watch that, and then I got something out of it that was interesting. Clip number 5.
You call a meeting with then Governor Bush back in the 2000 campaign because you think he's leaning one way to pick a vice presidential nominee, and you want to make your argument against that choice, and you have a mystery guest in the room. Tell me the story.
Yeah. Well, actually, it wasn't he was leaning. He was set on Cheney for vice president, and I thought it was a bad idea. And at this point, there are only about 6 people who know that he's tilted, that he's about ready to do this. And so he calls me up and says, "Come make the case against Cheney." And we're sitting in the Austin Library in the Texas Governor's Mansion, and for about 30 or 35 minutes, I lay out the reasons why he shouldn't pick Dick Cheney, with about 8 reasons, starting with we didn't need to worry about, you know, the Wyoming's 3 electoral votes and Cheney's voting record and Cheney's health and the fact he'd been 41 Secretary of Defense and we were trying to develop a separate image for 43. He was a Texas oilman like Bush was a Texas oilman. And, you know, you could caricature them both that way. And so I went through my 8 objections, took about 30 or 35 minutes. The governor of Texas prodded and poked at me and disagreed and, you know, argued and made me defend my position. And after about 30 or 35 minutes, he said, "You got anything else?" I said, "No, that's about it." And he turned to the guy next to him and said, "Dick, you got any questions for Karl?" And it was an interesting insight into 2 things. One is he called me the next day and said, "You were right on the politics of it. Go solve the politics." But he said, "That's what I'm not concerned about the politics of it. I've got to answer the question of who would be a good partner for me, and if something terrible were to happen to me, who would be a good president to step in my place? Who would have the confidence of the people?" He was focused on a governing decision. I was focused on politics. He said, "You go take care of the politics. I'm going to be focused on a presidential decision." And it really was his first presidential decision long before getting elected and being sworn in.
That may be the one argument in your lifetime that the left wishes you had won.
And Cheney and I became great friends, but at the moment I thought, great, I've angered the guy who's going to be the next vice president. He goes around heavily armed. I mean, you
know. We're such buddies with Karl Rove. Anyway, I'm going to try to get beyond that. Look, a lot of that story is obviously very self-serving. Isn't George Bush such a good guy for not choosing based on the politics, but based on policy reasons, right? Yeah, I got it, right? But the interesting thing I got out of this is, look at how smart Dick Cheney is. By the time Rove came in, and Rove is the campaign manager, remember Cheney was the head of the Vice Presidential Selection Committee for George Bush. And he convinced the idiot to pick him. He's like, "Well, I looked for all the possible VPs in the country, and I got to be honest with you, I'm your best choice." And Bush is like, "Okay, that makes sense." And you know how Cheney did it. It's classic, you know, psychological tricks where he's like, "You know, it definitely shouldn't be me." And Bush is like, "Should it be him?" Okay. So, but in this story, we find out new angles to that. One, Rove didn't even get to make the argument against Cheney until Bush had already basically made up his mind. And when Rove goes to make the case against Cheney, Cheney's in the room. Oh, man, he played Bush like a fiddle. There was never... And then there's a part of this story, which you didn't see in the tape there, about, oh, Cheney didn't want the job. He claimed that, oh, Cheney knew that it's... taking the job is like, you know... not worth, in Rove's words, not worth a bucket of warm piss. Right. Unless you have a moron as president, you could just totally gain power and become president yourself for at least 6 out of the 8 years. So, man, Cheney was masterful in how he got to run the country. And even Rove was a bystander and couldn't affect that decision. So now you know how that went down. So that was interesting.